Absolutely everyone wants to be a millionaire. Not the kind that has $1 million net worth by the age of 85, but the kind that gets to enjoy the best things in life. The problem is that not everyone knows how to make $1 million, otherwise everyone would. So today, I'm going to share with you my 3-step plan for how I'm going to make money, multiply it into millions, and then what I'm going to do with the money once I have it. Now, after not having to worry about bills and the cost of life, the reason why you want $1 million is to be able to enjoy it and spend it. That's why, in my opinion, the best thing that you can do is accumulate a lot of capital and then live off the income that it can generate so that you're never tethered to doing anything that you hate. Let's say your business makes like $5 million a year, but you spend all of your money or you hate running that business. In my opinion, you're still broke. Now, for example, if you have one of these 5% APY savings accounts, which you can get through a company like Webull or Robinhood, or I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones, and you put in $1 million, at 5% APY, you earn about $50,000 a year in passive income. Now, after tax, that's more like $40,000 a year, but that's purely spendable income that you made without touching the original $1 million that you had to put in. That's about $3,333 a month, which for most people can cover a lot of your living expenses. But if you had $10 million in the bank, or roughly 10 times that amount, you'd be making about $500,000 a year that you could roughly spend around $33,000 a month in profit after tax, and you'd be living that millionaire lifestyle without worrying about going broke or ever even touching that original investment. And that still assumes that you're only ever making that 5% APY. You could likely get some investments that return more than that. So obviously that's the goal. And in this video, I'm going to focus on how I plan to get to that $10 million mark in a few years rather than a lifetime. When you talk about or think about millionaire and what that lifestyle looks like, it's the ability to live freely on the income that you make from the money that you have in the bank. So I'm going to talk about how to get to that point, or at least my plan to get there. If you want to be a millionaire, this is what you really want. You don't want to be making and spending $30,000 a month because you'll be just as broke and tethered to whatever is making you that amount of money. And by the way, being able to spend $30,000 a month is definitely living like the 1%. Now, my strategy starts with not necessarily having a high income, but having a high income ratio. So how much is $1 million actually? If you were able to save exactly $50,000 a year for 20 years without ever spending a penny on taxes or lifestyle, you would save up $1 million. And it's the same story if you make $50,000 a month after taxes in complete profit without spending a penny. It would take you 20 months to save up $1 million. But a lot more realistically, even if you got to a $50,000 per month income, which is the top 1% here in the United States, after your lifestyle expenses and taxes, realistically, your profit left over per month is going to be more like $20,000, which means it would take you more like 50 months to save up the $1 million. So unless you're profiting like $100,000 a month after taxes and lifestyle, earning your way to millions of dollars is going to take a while. This is why the first step is to have a high income ratio. Being a high earner isn't necessarily about the dollar amount specifically, it's just the ratio between what you earn and what you spend each month. If you make $7,000 a month and you only have to spend $3,000, then in my opinion, you're a higher earner because you're keeping a lot of what you make. I need and want to be able to spend more than $3,000 a month, so I need a much higher income to support my goals. The point being that margin, the excess from what you make, is what you get to play around with and where all the exponential returns come in. Unfortunately, I don't see it being very likely that you're going to make millions of dollars, quickly at least, if you don't have money to play around with. Now, after nearly 5 years of growing my Etsy dropshipping businesses, along with a couple other income sources, which I can get into, I'm able to keep a very high percentage of my income after I've paid all of my bills and spent the money that I want to each month. It's taken me a while to get to this point, especially without inflating my lifestyle like crazy, which I could do, because the principle remains the same. It really matters what you do with that extra income. If you don't have any margin, any extra money on top of your income, and you're spending everything that you make, it's going to be extremely hard to multiply your wealth because you don't have any capital to use as your tool. Even if you have an extra 10 to 20% of your monthly income that you can play with, it's a good enough start, and that's where I started from. That margin, the excess money that I make each month, does two specific things for me. The first and most important is reinvesting into that primary income, which for me is my businesses, so that that margin will continue to grow as I grow the businesses. That means taking part of the extra money that I'm making each month and putting it back into the business so that I can grow it. The second thing that that money can do is, after all my responsibilities and bills are paid for, I can multiply it. Now, besides business, there are a few ways that you can multiply your wealth, and my degenerate vehicle of choice is crypto. See, the thing is, even if you could just double the amount of money that you make each month, it will cut the amount of time that it takes in half to save up $1 million. If you're smart about it in a crypto bull market like we're in right now, it's pretty easy to get 2 to 3x returns on your money without trying too much. But if you're really clever, sometimes you can pull those crazy 5 to 10x gains overnight or lose all your money. This is really the second half of my strategy. If I just kept working my businesses, eventually I would hit the $10 million mark in liquid cash in an investment account like that. But since I do have some experience in crypto as well, hopefully I can get there a little bit quicker. Now, I did a crypto video on my channel several months ago, calling out which projects I was going to be buying, my strategy for picking them. And ever since then, we've had a huge bull run and a massive collapse. And even though it's not fun when the market's on fire, it's still part of the strategy. If you buy when there's maximum fear and nobody wants to be in and the prices are really low, you can sell when everyone's super greedy, the prices are at the top, and you make the most amount of profit. Now, obviously, this is not advice and everything could hit the fan and I lose all my money overnight. Or what I thought would happen back in November actually plays out and I get some insane results. Now, these are some of the projects that I like and have invested in. But the thing about them right now is, since they've dropped 75, 80%, that's roughly a 4x just on your money if they get back to their all-time highs where they were not too long ago. The whole point of my strategy for making and having extra money is so that I can take risks that have a potential of returning a lot more money than I put in. I use my businesses to make a high income, and then I bet on my knowledge of the crypto market to multiply some of that money. Again, even if you just were able to double every dollar that you put in, then it's worthwhile to try and do that. But it's even more worthwhile the higher your income is. This is why it's so important to have a high cash flow business if you want to be a millionaire. If I can put in $10,000 a month or $10,000 a week, I have a much better chance of catching those coins that actually do pump and investing enough for it to actually matter. If the coins that I'm in do a 4x, but I have $100,000 in them, it's a much better use of time than if I only had $10,000 in it. My buying and selling strategy is pretty simple. You buy the fear and sell the greed. Now, I have two charts here. This is the market cap, or the total price action of crypto, and the fear and greed index. Now, the reason that the strategy is hard in practice is because everyone's emotions move at the same time, including my own. So when price is at all-time highs, everyone is greedy, including myself, and I want to keep holding because I feel like the price could continue to do another 10x. And then when prices are down 80%, I want to sell just like everyone else to prevent any losses, and it's hard to think about buying. But if you invert it and you buy when everyone's fearful, you'll catch the gains and you'll be able to sell when everyone's greedy at the top. It's very simple in theory, but very difficult in practice. Whenever I've been able to beat my emotions, that's when I've gotten the most out of the market. And that's what I and you have to do if you want to walk away with the most profit. And that's why I still believe that owning and growing a business is the first and best thing that you can do if you actually want to be a millionaire and get to that level where you can live off your truly passive income. My strategy here is a high risk approach, but it's also a potentially high reward. So I'm either going to lose a lot of money or I'm going to make millions of dollars. And if my investments in crypto went all the way to zero and I never sold, I still have my businesses and income that keep coming in every single month. So after I sort of spend what I need to and want to each month, I put half of my extra money into crypto and the other half back into my businesses to keep growing them. The more I do these two things, the more it compounds and the more money I'll make over time. Now, as I take profit and sort of de-risk myself out of crypto over the next year as the bull run kind of fades out, I'll be putting all of that money into high yield savings accounts and low risk investments that we looked at earlier. Look, I'm not immune. I want to inflate my lifestyle just like everyone else does. I just want to ensure that I'm financially secure before I get to that point, so that after I buy a nice car or watches or retire people in my family, that I don't go broke if something else happens in my life. It would be super cringe if you retired someone in your family and then 15 months later told them they had to go back to work because you couldn't afford it anymore. This strategy will get me to 10 million plus, and I'll be able to live however I want to without worry. I think whether you realize it or not, that's really the goal. If you're spending everything that you make from your job or your business, you're really not all that financially free, no matter how much you make. I want at least most of my lifestyle expenses to be paid for by that sweet passive income. If you like hearing me talk about money and those sort of things, then be sure to click subscribe and go follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you over there.